Hello there, happy Friday. We're here for another Facebook Live and I'm just gonna give it a minute for everybody who is able to log on, and I'm gonna refresh my screen. I hope you are all having a fabulous week. I can't believe we are going into December already. It's crazy, where did November go? For my video here so that I can see your comments. Here we go. Okay, hi Shirley, welcome. All right, so the first thing that I always start with, let's do an introduction here. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Sherwood Park, Alberta. Good morning, Shara. And I'm happy to be here to share a couple projects with you. Today we're going to chat a little bit about how to use your Christmas stuff for projects that are not Christmas related. I've been crafting Christmas since the beginning of August, so I'm kind of tired of Christmas crafting, but I still want to use up the supplies that I have. So I thought for the next few weeks, some of my Facebook Lives might be focused on this topic, but definitely I will do a few Facebook posts about it and possibly some blog posts as well. All right, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw for the projects that I made last week on Facebook Live, which are these two projects here. And in order to be entered to win the projects that I make each week, all you need to do is comment on the Facebook post. Whether it's the Facebook Live or the replay, or you can comment on YouTube, because after this is done, I always upload it to YouTube so you can watch it then. So you get 1 entry for each comment and you get 5 entries if you share the video. All right, so let's go ahead and draw for last week's winner, and look at that, it's Shara. So I will pop those in the mail for you, Shara. All right, let's put these away. Okay, so, all right, one thing I did want to mention is we are getting close to the release of the occasions and the celebration catalogs. So these are going to start January 3rd. And now because of our issue with the postal strike with Canada Post, this fall season, I'm worried that if I send them through Stampin' Up! That they are going to just get lost in a pile and not be delivered in a timely manner, and maybe it might be the middle or the end of January before you get them, and I don't want that to happen, and I'm sure you don't want that to happen either. So my out-of-town customers, I did use Stampin' Up! For that, but for my local customers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold a little mini kind of launch. It'll be December 27th when you can come pick them up, have a look at some of the products that I have, especially the paper. It's always nicer to see the paper on hand or in person. So you can pick up these. The event will be free. There'll be two different time slots, 1 to 3. Now I can't remember the time slots. 1 to 3, or is it 1 to 4? I think it's 1 to 3, and then 7 to 9 on December 27th. And there'll be a couple of free make it takes that you can that you whip up if you want, and light refreshments, and it'll just be like an informal come pick it up. You can come when you want, anytime during those time slots, and stay as long as you want. Okay, so there will be more information on that later, but I just wanted to let you know about that so you can mark your calendars. Okay, so now I'm going to flip you down so that we can start crafting. Just bear with me for a moment. Oh, that's not what I want. Okay. So we'll just see if this is good. Okay, how does that look? Are you still getting lots of shadows? Is that lighting okay, or is this lighting better? I get too much glare with that one. Let's go with this one. Okay, just let me know if you're getting too much glare and I can switch that. And okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you what we're making first. So we are going to make this card, which is like a little floating card. I think that's what it's called. And this card here. So I noticed that they're both thank yous, which is fine because I think this time of the year, it's always nice to have lots of thank yous on hand. Just to hand out if you need a thank you card, if somebody unexpected maybe gives you a gift or whatever and you want to send them a thank you card. And we're using a bunch of Christmas supplies to make them, but as you can see, just by looking at them, they're not Christmassy at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with this one. So let me grab my supplies are over here. Okay, so we are using this bundle, the Beautiful Blizzard bundle, and you know that I've used this before. In the comments of this Facebook post and also on YouTube, I will post a link to the previous video that I did using this. And I had, from using that a bunch of times, I had all these extra snowflakes cut out. And I mean, you don't want to throw those away. Those are perfectly good. So I kept them in this little half stamp case, and I decided to use them before the winter season ends. And I start using other product. So like I said, I will link the video that shows you how I use this, but for now we'll put it away, and the Beautiful Blizzard is the stamp set that we're going to use. Okay, so what I've done is I've got my card base. Okay, I can't lose these snowflakes here. Okay, so I've got my card base made from our thick Whisper White cardstock. It measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So I'm just gonna give that a fold and then set that aside. And then I have a piece of mint macaron cardstock that measures, and I forgot to write the measurements down. It's probably, I'm gonna grab my ruler just to make sure. Okay. So it measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And this one, which is Tranquil Tide, measures 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White that measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. And then I've pulled out a whole bunch of my Tranquil Tide pre-cut snowflakes. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna decorate this. So I've got my Tranquil Tide cardstock, and some of these have backing on them. So some of them I did use the adhesive sheets. So I'm gonna try to use these. So this one with the white on the back, that has the adhesive sheet on it. So all I have to do is peel off this backing, and it'll be sticky. So it really saves a lot of mess. So I'm just gonna cover my cardstock with my snowflakes. Oh, is that the last one that I have with the backing? Yeah, okay. So then to stick the other ones down, I'm going to use our fine tip glue. Now this glue, it has a very fine tip, but the key to this glue is you do not want to leave it open for very long. Okay, so let's try to get it started here. I should have a piece of, oh, there we go. Piece of tissue here. So you can get pretty good precision with this glue. You can also use the Tombow glue, but I find this is a little bit finer. The best adhesive for these fine little things is always the adhesive sheets, if they're dies that you can pre-cut, or that you can cut with the Big Shot. Okay. So then I'm going to stick that right about here. And you want to go off the edge as well. Peggy says, love the colors. Thank you, Peggy. So the colors are Tranquil Tide and Mint Macaron. So you want to go off the edge so it makes it look like it's pre-printed cardstock, and you cut it down to the size that you wanted. Let's see what else we've got that has backing on it. All right, put that there. I don't think any other ones have the backing. Okay, so let's do this one. I probably should have pre-done some of these, but that's okay. So, and it looks really good when you have a variety of sizes and styles of snowflakes. So you could use this bundle, or you could even use the Snowflake Showcase bundle as well, or the Snowfall Thinlits, I think they're called. But today's the last day to get those. So if those are the ones that you wanted to use, you want to make sure that you pick those up today. So let's do a couple more here. Okay, and then we'll add a couple little ones in there. Oh, that's not sticking very well at all. Oh, okay, a little thicker. Well, I certainly hope these stick on here. Okay, and then a couple little ones, and then we'll be done with this. So does anybody have any plans this weekend? I've got my team, oh, this one's backed. My team Christmas party tomorrow. So we always have our meeting in the morning, and then we do a potluck and move upstairs and have a little Christmas party. It's fun. Okay, and then you don't want to let this sit open. I usually just wipe off the tip to make sure there's no extra residue. And then this little tip gets stuck in the hole, which, because I'm on camera, I know I'm going to struggle with this. There we go. You don't want to leave that open for very long, because otherwise it'll dry out in the tip and clog, and you won't be able to get any glue out anymore. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim around the edges. We'll move these guys out of the way. So just trim off any of this excess. What I did on the other card is some of them, they were hanging off substantially, so I used those pieces that I cut off to cover some empty spots. So I'll show you, because you know I don't like to waste. So here is 1/2, so that's only half of a snowflake, so I added it over here. Here's another one where it's just a little piece that I cut off. So any of those bigger extra pieces, then you want to reuse those if you can. Okay, so now this piece is going to get stuck onto our mint macaron. And then stuck in the center of this. And then this piece will go on our white card base. And I'm doing it all flat. I could pop up this level, but because we're adding a snowflake trinket, that's gonna add extra bulk, and I don't wanna pay extra for it. So, postage is so expensive in Canada. It's ridiculous. Okay, so that's the card front, and then we're gonna work on our focal point. So I'm gonna take my white cardstock, and I've got mint macaron, light and dark, and shaded spruce light and dark Stampin' Blends. So these are our alcohol markers. And just a scrap of paper, because I always like to have a scrap underneath when I color. And we're gonna create an ombre look. So I'm starting with the lightest color, which is light macaron. And I'm just gonna color across the top. I'm not gonna worry too much about getting a nice even look because it's not gonna matter in the long run. Now I'm doing dark mint macaron. Oops. And then I'm gonna go back over it with light mint macaron and just blend it a little bit. And then I'm gonna do light shaded spruce. And then I'm gonna go back to my dark mint macaron and blend those two colors. See how there's not such a stark line when you blend them? And then I'm gonna use my dark shaded spruce. Let's go this way. And when you do this, you wanna try to get the cardstock as close to the size of what you're going to use as possible, just so that you don't waste so much of your alcohol markers, because it does take a lot of ink to do this technique. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring in the thank you die. So this is a die that comes just on its own. Excuse me. Shara says, I used these Stampin' Blends at Dawn's. They leave such a smooth look. They do. I love them. It's my favorite way to color. The colors are just so vibrant and you can get such a nice variation. Hey, Barb. Okay, so now I'm taking the thank you Thinlit and I'm going to use my Big Shot to cut it out. Okay, so I'm going to sit it kind of in the center because I really want all 4 of those shades of green on my thank you. Okay. And then I love this Thinlit. It pokes out really easy. It's not finicky at all. There we go. Okay, we'll get rid of this. So see how beautiful that is? You get the nice 4 shades of the green. And then when you put it on top of here, look how pretty that is. Okay, so now we're going to do that, and I probably should have pre-did this because this takes a while, I'm gonna use mini dimensionals, but I still have to cut them into strips because they're still a bit too big. So that's what I like to use these edges of the dimensionals for, is just whenever I need strips. Even our dimensional strips that we have in the catalog are just a bit too wide for this fine word. And I do want it, I mean, I guess I could use adhesive sheets and stick it down, which I'm gonna do on the next one. But for this one, I really wanted a bit of dimension. Okay. So now I'm just gonna take these strips and just add them on here. So what kinds of things would you guys like to see in the occasions catalog? I know some of you are demonstrators and have seen it already, but for those of you who have not yet seen it, what kind of stamp sets would you guys like to see? Anything in particular? What do you feel we're lacking? Okay, that should be good. So we'll just peel off the backing and then add that to the card front. Okay. So we want to add this on here. Like so. And then I want to add one of our little snowflake trinkets. So this is part of the Snowflake Showcase collection that is only available today, or until the end of today. Okay, we'll use a mini glue dot to stick it on, which I find is always the best for anything, any kind of little embellishments. Oh, this guy doesn't want to come off. And this guy is going to get tucked right under here. And even though these are different snowflakes, it's from a different collection. Did that come off? No, it didn't. Oh, it's on the back of this. Even though these snowflake trinkets are meant to coordinate with another framelit set, another snowflake framelit set, they actually work perfectly in the center of this framelit set as well. So I love that. All right, and there we go. There's our first one. So I use, oh, I forgot the inside. Let's do the inside. Okay, so I've got Mint Macaron ink and Tranquil Tide ink. So those are the two colors of cardstock that I used on this card. And I'm using the greeting that says, it says, if a hug were a snowflake, I'd send you a blizzard. So that isn't necessarily Christmassy. We're doing thank you on the outside, and I think that's a perfect inside greeting for a thank you card. Shara says, I guess I like the idea of being able to use a set over and over for different occasions. Reusing and repurposing sets like you are doing today. You get more bang for your buck. I completely agree. So this would also be a great set for birthday cards as well. If people have winter birthday cards, a lot of times you don't think about pulling out your Christmas stuff to do a birthday card, but snowflakes can be used anytime, well, in Canada, from where we live, from November until probably March. Not that we want snowflakes in March, but you know, reality is we often have them. So, okay, make sure I have it going the right way. And I'm gonna use my Tranquil Tide ink to stamp my greeting. And then I've got another idea, well, I've got a few other ideas on how to use Christmassy products. Maybe not year-round. Well, yeah, year-round actually. The next one you could use all year round. So now I'm going to use this, this image here. And I'm going to stamp it in Mint Macaron, just to add a bit of detail on the sides. So like that, isn't that cute? And then I'm going to use the cluster of snowflakes, so this one here, and I'm gonna decorate the envelope. Where is my envelope? Oh, here it is. Okay, so we'll set that aside so I don't get ink on it. And pull it in my scrap again. And this time I'm going to tuck it under my envelope flap. And I'm going to stamp the envelope flap. It's always nice to have a little bit of pattern on the envelope. I can always tell when a handmade card comes, but not everybody would. But if your envelope is decorated, then that would be a pretty good giveaway that it's a handmade card. And somebody who thinks you're special made it. There we go. So then we've got a decorated envelope with our thank you card. Isn't that cute? So I'm gonna have a few of these made up so that I can have on hand for last minute thank yous over the holiday season. Okay, now I'm gonna show you another thank you, but this one is a bit of a different kind of card. So let's see. And we're actually not doing any stamping on it. Okay, so like I showed you guys earlier, this is a thank you card, and I believe it's called a floating card. So it's a little bit different. You can see that it's open in between. Well, it's not open. There's actually an acetate sheet there to hold the pieces together, but I'm going to show you how to make that. Just moving some of this stuff out of the way. So first of all, this is our Festive Farmhouse DSP. So when you look at it in the catalog, it looks Christmassy. Well, I think it's also because it's a holiday catalog. The colors are like, there's some red and green in there, and just with it pictured, all of the samples are on the side are Christmassy samples, so it makes you think of Christmas when you see it. But this paper actually is fabulous for any time of the year. So maybe the red and green one kind of screams a little bit more Christmas, but the other ones, we've got like a wood grain one. There is this other wood pattern, which is fabulous. There's a red and black and cream plaid. There's a red and gray plaid. There's these white stars with a gray background. And then you flip it over. Okay, this one also is Christmas because it's got Christmas words on there. So most of them can be used all year round. So we've got a grid pattern, we've got some stripes, green stripes, and then we've got some little stars, and then some red stripes. So I would say any, but maybe this pattern. And you know, the ones with the red and green, they kind of seem a little bit more Christmassy, but if you steer away with too much green, like steer away from the green and pull more of one or the other color, like the Mossy Meadow or the Cherry Cobbler, or even lots of vanilla, and you put in a non-Christmassy greeting, same with this plaid one over here, then it won't feel like Christmas. Okay, so look at your DSP, and a lot of the patterns actually in many of the paper packages have patterns that are generic. So you can use them for pretty much anything. All right, so if you look at your Christmas paper with non-Christmassy eyes, you'll see so much more potential. Okay, so today we are using the green one with the stars, this one here. Okay, and for this project I did write down the measurements. All right, so let me tell you the measurements first here. So this card, it's still a standard size card, it's just cut in a different way. Good morning, Mary Liz, thanks for joining us. So it measures 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So it's going to fold down like this. So it's still the same size as your traditional card, it's just cut and scored a little bit differently. Okay, so we've got our card base, which we are going to need in a minute, but we'll set that aside while I go through the other pieces. We've got a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of Whisper White cardstock that is going to go in the inside. We've got 2 pieces of DSP that measure 1 3/8 by 7/8 of an inch, and you need 2 of those, and those are mounted to a white piece that measures 1 1/2 by 4. Oh, hang on, no, it's 1 3/8 by 3 7/8. So 1 3/8 by 3 7/8, and then that is mounted to a 1 1/2 inch piece by 4 inch piece. Okay, so that's done, and then we need a piece to cut out our thank you. So this piece measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. I've got an piece of adhesive sheet, because this time we're going to stick it flat, that measures 2 5/8 by 3 1/8. And then we've got a window sheet. So this is just, it's kind of like a transparency, for those of you guys who remember transparencies. We call them window sheets, and this measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We sell them in sheets of 12 by 12, 2 to a package in the catalog. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's actually start with this, since it's right here. So my adhesive sheets, when I use them, I always like to cut them just a smidge smaller than the cardstock that they're going on. Just so that when I run it through the Big Shot, there's no extra adhesive on the outside of the cardstock that will make my Big Shot plates all gummy. Okay, so this will go in the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to pull in my Big Shot again and use that thank you framelit. So you still put it cardstock or adhesive sheet down, cardstock face up. Oh, we got a little piece left in here. Okay. So see, even with that extra layer, it pops out really nicely. So peel that out. And then we'll set it aside until we're ready for it. Just poking out these extra pieces. Okay, that'll come off when I peel the backing. All right. Okay, so now we are going to pull our card base and our paper cutter, and we're going to do some cutting. So I am going to cut, oh, let's hope I jotted down how, I think it's 1 3/4. Yeah. Okay, so I want to cut from this score line down. I want to cut 1 3/4. So I'm going to line the score line up with the 1 3/4 inch mark, and I'm going to cut. And remember, the dark one cuts. And then I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches from this piece. Okay, so this is going to be extra. You can use that on another project. These 2 pieces you want to take and use on your card. Okay, so now I'm pulling in my window sheet, and I'm going to use my adhesive, and I'm going to apply a little bit on the 4 corners. I'm going to line my window sheet up in here so that it lines up with my card base, and then I'm going to close this over. And the reason I put the adhesive on the cardstock rather than the window sheet is it's a little bit less noticeable. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same in this end. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the 4 corners, and then line this up with the bottom of my card, and then I'm just going to close it. Oh, that's wrong. You want to do it this way. Caught that just in the nick of time. You want this layer to be on the outside, not the inside. So I'm going to close my card with the window sheet on and line it up with the bottom of my card. Okay, so that's that. And then I've gone ahead and pre-mounted my patterned paper to the white cardstock, and those are just going to go here and then down here. So I'll add a little bit of adhesive and then center it in here. And then do the same for the bottom. Okay, and now you could do anything in here, but we're going to use our thank you. So I'm going to peel off the backing and stick it down. And another reason why I chose the self-adhesive sheets is because you won't see the adhesive from the back, whereas if I had used mini glue dots or dimensionals, you would see that from the inside of the card. So this is consistently inked all the way through, so it'll just look like just like this. Just need to get rid of this piece here. There we go. And then I'm going to figure out where I want this. And stick it down. And then I felt like it needed a little something else. So in the holiday catalog, we've got these little, I don't know what they're called. I can't remember what they're called, but they're little paper clips. One is in the shape of a tree and the other one in the shape of a star. Well, the tree is pretty Christmassy. I don't know, well, there might be a way that you can get around that, but to me that screams Christmas. So, but the star doesn't necessarily mean Christmas. So I'm going to use a mini glue dot and stick it right in the corner here. So again, that's just another way that you can use your Christmas product for something that's not Christmassy. So I used a mini glue dot. So instead of using it as a paper clip, how it's intended to be used, I'm sticking it on as an accent. And then I'm going to use some linen thread. Just had to grab it. And I'm going to take a nice long piece, double it over. I love linen thread and baker's twine, but sometimes I want something a little bit thicker, but not too thick. So this is my solution. I'll just fold it over and do a double. Oh, Mary Liz says a hunting dad day card for tree. See, that's a good one. Yeah, if you use something, maybe use some images with trees on them as your focal point, you could get away with that. You could do that for sure. Or a hunting card, yep. Something maybe with an animal on it. Okay, so I've got my bow. I'm gonna trim the ends. And then use a mini glue dot to stick this on my star. So this is just gonna go right in here, just like that. So there we go. So here are a couple thank you cards. Oh, let me show you what I did with the envelope as well. So I had some pattern paper left over, so I decorated the envelope flap. So you've got that one, and then this envelope for this one. And there are a couple thank you cards using wintry Christmas product that do not look, well, this does look wintry, but doesn't look Christmassy, so that you can put to use and use for a few more months. Actually, this one you can use year round, but this one for a few months anyways. All right, so I plan on doing a couple more of these kinds of ideas over the next month as I try to use up the stuff that's going to retire. I try to use that up as much as I can, so I will be sharing those projects either on my blog, which is stamptreasures.com, or on my Facebook page. All right, so you can watch for those. And if you guys have any ideas on things to combine to make what kind of card, I'd be happy to hear. Just post in the comments, and maybe I'll use some of those ideas. All right, or maybe I can, if I get lots of them, maybe I can compile a list and add it to my blog post so that everybody can have access to it. All right, so thanks so much for watching. If you are looking to place an order, December 5th, we have our year-end clear out. I don't have all the details yet, but it will go from December 5th to January 2nd, and it will be products that they are overstocked on, or products that will be retiring, probably from the holiday catalog. All right, so you can watch for that, but it will be while supplies last, so you'll definitely want to place an order early. You can find my host code here. And for the month, if your order is over $50, you get a little gift in the mail along with your thank you card. And I hope you guys all have a fabulous weekend. I will see you next Friday. Thanks for watching.